Right, Sunday, 2 p.m, Chelsea take to Goodison Park for the last time ever in the Premier League when Enzo Maresca's men look to make it 9 wins out of 9 against Sean Dyche's Everton. And the consequences of a win in this game could not be greater. Because albeit maybe only for a matter of hours, a win here would guarantee that after 37 long months of ups and downs, and let's be honest, more downs than there were ups, uncertainty over our club's status, let alone our club's ownership, and the media having the knives out for us at every single opportunity, Chelsea could return to the summit, where they belong, in my opinion, at the top of the Premier League. And that would be pretty much, let's be honest, the halfway mark of the season. And I've said, alright, I'm not going to talk about title races anymore. You lot go and do your research and have a look how many teams that have been in our position haven't gone on to be in a title race over the last God knows how many seasons. But let's just speak about game by game for now. And in this video, let's preview this game in particular. We will speak about the opposition in Everton and why actually I think that maybe we might find this one a little bit harder than some of the fan base are perceiving. As always, I am going to give you guys my starting lineups and I will even throw in a score prediction. So without any further ado, let's get into it. But people, before we do all that, welcome back to the JOEYK podcast. If you are new around here, please hit the subscribe button. Do me a favor, smash the like button right now. I have been doing YouTube probably 2 years now, and I don't know why hitting the like button helps, but it does genuinely really help the videos, and in turn helps the channel. And if you're watching me and you're not already subscribed, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I watch him so much that his videos will just pop up on my page either way, but you're clearly watching because you enjoy the content, whether you like me or not. So can you please do me a favor and make sure you hit subscribe, because that also makes a huge difference to the channel. Let's get into it. Now, let's just be honest. Everton haven't really been great this season, have they? I think when you look at Wolves, they've been slipping for a couple of seasons now, and even by their standards, they're having a horrific start to this season, and they are the only non-promoted team who have won less games than Everton's 3 in their 15 games so far this Premier League season. And in all honesty, it's not really Everton's defence or defensive organisation that's even letting them down and suppressing their ambitions this season. They're not really the worst at defending. There's 10 teams in the Premier League that have shipped more goals than the Toffees so far this season, and you'll be intrigued to know, but maybe not even surprised by this point, that one of those teams are actually the champions, reigning champions, not for long, Manchester City. But it's actually sticking the ball in the back of the net where Everton are really, really struggling this season. Dwight McNeil has got, 3 goals for them so far this season. He's their top scorer, followed by Calvert-Lewin. He's only got 2 goals for them. That's the same amount of goals as Cucurella scored in the last 7 days. So what I'm saying is they haven't really got goals in them. But they did just get a draw last time out against Arsenal, and they did manage to stop the set-piece merchants being able to score a set-piece against them. So that in itself is something. And to be fair, right, since they had those 2 back-to-back 3-2 losses, obviously one of them was to Aston Villa, no shame in losing to Aston Villa, one of them was horrific. They were 2-0 up, I think, with 90 minutes played, 88 minutes played, something like that. They end up losing 3-2 to Bournemouth, and that was a really, really embarrassing loss for Everton. One where, even though it was quite soon into the start of the season, I was looking at it and thinking, Dyche could go here, he could go, but they stuck with it, and I actually think that they've improved. I'm not going to say massively, but considerably. They've improved considerably since that, because since taking those defeats, they have kind of squeeze the most out of what they've actually got. And I realise that I'm saying that sat in a very luxurious position compared to Everton. You know, we have been able as a football club to go out and not have our hands tied and be able to have sellable assets, which means that we're also able to spend a lot of money, and Everton have not had that. They've had points deductions to deal with and chaos with the new ground being built and everything. But either way, they haven't really had it easy, have they, Everton? But since taking those 2-3-2 defeats, they've only lost 2 out of their last 12, which isn't bad at all. They've actually stopped 6 of those teams conceding against them. And when you look at that, that includes the likes of Newcastle, that includes the likes of Arsenal. I banter a little bit about set-piece merchants and whatnot, but when you look at the attacking players that both teams there that I've just mentioned have, it is impressive that Everton have managed to be composed at the back, and therefore it draws me to a conclusion that if Everton show up on Sunday, they can definitely make it a hard game for us, and they can definitely be hard opponents for us to break down. And as much as I know and believe that this is a new and improved Chelsea team, this is a Chelsea team led by Enzo Maresca, and therefore we don't need to look backwards when the only direction we're going in is forwards. But now I'm going to contradict myself, and I am going to say to you guys that Goodison Park has not been a happy hunting ground for us, if I'm being completely honest. We've got 1 win there in the last 7.5 years in the Premier League, and that was a 1-0 win, I believe. It was the opening day of the season under Tommy Tuchel, the season he got the tic-tac, and I believe it was a Raheem Sterling penalty that day, but you lot might be able to correct me. Could have even been Jorginho, but either way, we have to go back all the way to 2017 to actually see the last time we had a decent little run of form going away to Goodison Park. And much like I predicted with Brentford, I do look at that sort of past history and think, well, although we have changed, some of the other teams haven't. Some of their mentalities haven't, and some of the players that they had there that were able to stop us getting wins there are still there. Practically all of them from last season are still there. So it's not the Chelsea of old, but it kind of is the Everton of old. So let's just move on to my team sheet now, and we can have a look at the boys that I believe are going to break down the toffees. And you can see it on screen now. We have got Robert Sanchez starting off in goal. Jorgensen's looking impressive every time I've seen him. But to be fair, I do think that Robert Sanchez made 2 really impressive saves in the Brentford game. He played out pretty well from the back. No major mistakes, which is a breath of fresh air for me to be saying. And it really is the defence where we have a bit of a conundrum. See that conundrum? I'm coming on leaps and bounds, aren't I? What a word for me. Don't ask me to spell it, for God's sake. Right. This is a hard one. Because we know that we are still going to probably be without Benoit Badiashile. In fact, without Benoit Badiashile for maybe a little while now. Fofana, that's also looking like months. We were thinking that we would just be without Fofana until December, but that looks like it's going to go longer than that. But before we get into all that, have you ever wanted the chance to chat with the big dog and I? Well, thanks to new channel sponsor Steak, mate, now you can. And you might even get the chance to win big on this Premier League's football. But what is Steak, mate, you may ask? Well, this review from the App Store will explain it way better than I ever could. This app is as if Bet365 and Snapchat had a baby. Great sportsbook and just a great way to chat with the lads. But how does it all work? Well, you need to be 18 years old or over and living inside the UK, and if you are, you can just click the link in the description. Go through the sign-up process, which literally takes 2 minutes, and then once you're logged in, at the bottom of the page, hit groups, and at the top left, hit invite code. The invite code is JOEYK. Then you will officially be in the Joey Night squad, where you can feel free to ask questions, suggest bets, and just chat amongst all of us in there as we have been doing. And not only have we been chatting, some of us have already been winning. Every single week I put my accumulator in there where you can either critique it or you might even fancy copying it. But this is what I'm going for this weekend. So starting off, I'm backing the boys Chelsea to get the away win at Everton. Then I think that Fulham are going to get the win against Southampton. Leicester to get the win against Wolves. And I do think Ruben Amorim's Man United will get the win against Bournemouth. But then in Spurs-like fashion, I think they'll do us a favour. And I think they will take a point off of Liverpool. And at the time of betting, by sticking just a fiver on that, I stand to win over 187 quid. The second that I put the bet on, I do what I always do, which is share it into the squad so that you guys can see it and critique me on it. And StateMate are constantly adding more features to the app, including anytime goal scorers and anytime assists, meaning you can whack that in your ACCAs also. The good news doesn't stop there, because when you sign up to StateMate, you will get 20 quid in free bets when you bet just a tenner. And they're offering even more bonuses as you play. So hit the link in the description right now. Join my squad by using the invite code JOEYK. But remember, you must be 18 years old or over. You must be living inside the UK. And we all must remember to gamble responsibly. Benoit Badiashile, we haven't really got much of an update as to when he'll be back and available. But I do believe that this is probably the backline that Enzo Maresca is going to go with, and this would be the backline that I go with, which is Malo Gusto, Tosin Adarabioyo, Levi Colwell, and Renato Vega. And obviously we saw Renato Vega kind of play not so much inverting against Shamrock Rovers. I'm not saying he didn't have times when he didn't get forward, but I would also throw a wild card into the mix here. And I've looked at the amount of minutes played, and I've kind of drawn my conclusion on who is going to start from that. And although Renato Vega played in that match, and he played, I think he played the full 90, to be fair, I think that he's closer to first team action. He's had more Premier League experience. Another man that played the full 90 minutes, I believe, is Joshua Changpong. And I would not be adverse to throwing Joshua Changpong in here. I really wouldn't. I really, really rate the kid. And I think that, listen, I think he's the next one. He's the next big one to come out of the academy that we're all going to be raving about, Joshua Changpong. And if I was to put him in, I'd probably put him in at right back, and I would have Malo Gusto at left back, but I would have him inverting into the midfield to join up with the likes of Caicedo and Enzo, who might be slightly further forward. Obviously, I'm guessing that most of you guys know and understand the reason why Cucurella is not in here, and that is because he's obviously suspended for this game. Caicedo and Enzo, they picked themselves at this moment in time. Romeo Lavia with a chance of being back against Everton, but probably more than likely going to be back against Fulham, and I would imagine he gets some minutes off the bench in that game. And then as for the attack, Cole Palmer's always going to start in that 10. We are going to see Pedro Neto. Whether or not we see him on the right or the left wing is the interesting part. Now, the fact that JOEYK played against Shamrock Rovers tells me that we are going to see Pedro Neto on that right wing, and we're going to see Jadon Sancho on the left wing. And not even to do with play, purely because of age, I wouldn't be averse to seeing Pedro Neto on the left wing, because surely Ashley Young should have a nightmare against Pedro Neto. But the thing is, I actually predict Everton to sit in quite deep in this game, and therefore Ashley Young coming up against Jadon Sancho might be a better fit. And obviously resting JOEYK, who played a considerable amount of minutes through the week. Nicholas Jackson, obviously for me, starting up top. So when I look at this game and I look at the way that Everton approached the Arsenal game, I think it doesn't take a genius to work out what the Toffees are going to do. They are going to turn up to Goodison Park. God, who cares? They're in a new one. What's the new one going to be called? Is it going to be called Goodison Park again? It's built on a different site, so probably not. But either way, they are going to turn up to Goodison Park, and I do think they're going to dig their heels in. I do think they're going to try and be very defensively organised, defensively sound, and I feel like they will really be looking to catch something on the counter-attack. But I look at their attacking threat, and I look at the fact that they don't really have goals in them, and I don't know, I might call the first clean sheet of the season for Robert Sanchez here, After that Everton game last season, I was really, really disheartened because they weren't great, really. Everton. They weren't great. I think the points deduction did them a little bit dirty in terms of where they may finish, but it only put them down, 3 places or so in the league as to where they would have been. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just guessing that off the top of my head. But I do think that this Chelsea side are showing a resilience where you can actually rely on them now to have a little bit more consistency. And we look at the sort of 4-game run of fixtures. We'll get Everton in there, Fulham, Ipswich, and we got someone else. Who have we got? Can't even think who we've got at this moment right now in time. Let me have a quick look for you guys. Chelsea fixtures and Bournemouth. So if you look at that, really, I think... I don't know, man. Like, I know there's Chelsea fans that want to be very, very cautious, and I completely get the reasoning for that. You want to keep the pressure off of the team, and we understand that sometimes it can translate, and that's not a good thing. And with young players, you want to protect them a little bit and whatnot. But at the same time, this isn't England in the Euros, you know. We've got so much depth, and not only that, we have got what I believe already, but I can't really claim it already, what I believe will go on to be an elite manager in Enzo Maresca. I do really believe in him as a manager, and therefore I believe that getting the likes of Everton, getting the likes of Ipswich, Fulham's going to be a real tough game. I know that will be, but beating these teams is something that not only should we be aiming to do, which you always aim to win a game, I believe we should be expecting to do it. Because I just do think that we have the quality, and I believe that this team is running on fumes right now. We're running on vibes. As I say, time in, time out, it was a team that hardly knew each other last season. And now you see the bonds. Look at when we score a goal, right? Look at the celebrations. Like, I love it. I love seeing these boys together. There are such good vibes in the camp. And listen, sometimes vibes can carry you through. And it definitely can carry you through when you have got elite players, and that's what all of these boys either are, and most of which will go on to become. Levi Colwill, by the way, to single him out, having a great season, started every single game in the league for Chelsea Football Club and not spoke about and praised enough. Caicedo, the best defensive midfielder, scrap that, the best midfielder in the Premier League, consistently, week in, week out. People are telling me Gravenberch, no, he's been good, but not Caicedo good. Nowhere near. Cole Palmer, the best creative player over the past 12 months. And a man in Nicholas Jackson who is providing more than a goal every other game, which is all you can ask from your strikers. So we've got the spine there, we've got the core, and then when you look at the bench, being able to have the likes of João Felix and Nkunku to bring off of that bench, so many other names, Madueke if he is rested, you know, when the guys are back fit, Romeo Lavia, Reece James, who may or may not be starting, we don't know, but either way, we have got so much depth here. So again, no game is an easy game in the Premier League. I think we're proving that week in, week out when we see the upset results, when you see teams like Arsenal being held by Everton, teams like Liverpool being held as they were last time out. But at the same time as all of this, Chelsea are the team that are capitalising on everyone else's mistakes. So I believe we can do something again this weekend. And I do believe that by that full-time whistle, we will be sat pretty back where we belong, albeit it might only be for a couple of hours. But I've got a suspicion Spurs are going to do something very Spursy and do us a favour, nick a little draw or something like that off Liverpool, and then we're up there. So either way, let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. Me and Josh are flying back on the day of the game. We will be leaving to go to the airport literally just after the game. So it will be the tightest of squeezes ever to be able to get you lot a post-match review out. But I'm going to try my hardest to do it. So if that is not enough to smash the like button, I really don't know what is. I will see you all in the next one.